The NFL draft is officially over, so let's dive into my post-draft rookie running back rankings and tiers. Starting off, of course, in tier 1, it's just Ashton Jeanty, and there really doesn't need to be any more said. Landing with the Vegas Raiders is an incredible landing spot for him to be an absolute 3-down bell cow with zero competition for touches. I honestly wouldn't fault anyone for having Jeanty as their Dynasty RB1, and I think he's personally my Dynasty RB2 ahead of Jahmyr Gibbs. Pete Carroll is going to love him. Chip Kelly is going to love him. It's just so easy to draft Ashton Jeanty, and congratulations to everybody with the 1.01 in basically every single format. Now on to tier 2, another single player tier of just Omarion Hampton, the only other running back in this class with first round draft capital. And that's really the key differentiator for me between Hampton and the few guys behind him as to why he's alone in tier 2. It's just the first round draft capital. It's not to say that automatically guarantees that he'll have a better career than those guys, but the leash is definitely longer because the investment was much greater. Plus, he has the added bonus of a 5th year option. And just for my own consistency, he was my pre-draft RB2 in a tier of his own, so why would I move him out of that spot when he has better draft capital and an arguably better situation than pretty much everyone else other than Ashton Jeanty? Since 2004, there have been 6 other running backs drafted in round 1 between picks 13 through 25 overall. It's Steven Jackson, Lawrence Maroney, Jonathan Stewart, Quinshon Judkins, Melvin Gordon, and Najee Harris. As rookies, they averaged around 240 touches, 1,100 total yards, 7 total touchdowns, which is pretty much the equivalent to James Cook last year, just with pretty much half the touchdowns. But then after those rookie years, 5 of those 6 running backs went on to post at least 3 top 24 seasons, with half of them posting 5 or more top 24 seasons. And then 3 of those 6 running backs also posted multiple RB1 seasons. Actually, 3 or more RB1 seasons in Steven Jackson, Quinshon Judkins, and Melvin Gordon. And that's probably Hampton's story too. A solid rookie season, still sharing the backfield with Najee Harris this year, but then when Najee leaves next year, the backfield is entirely Omarion Hampton's, and his floor is multiple top 24 seasons with a ceiling of multiple RB1 seasons. He is that good of a prospect. Now he has the draft capital and situation in a Harmon Roman run first offense with double-digit touchdown upside in this very good Justin Herbert-led offense. He is the easy RB2 and the only player in tier 2 at the running back position. Now, on to tier 2. We've talked about them pretty much together a lot before the NFL draft, so why not talk about them together after the NFL draft? Because it is both Ohio State running backs in TreVeyon Henderson and Quinshon Judkins, who both get top 40 overall draft capital as very early second rounders, just 2 picks apart. Of the 2, I still slightly prefer TreVeyon Henderson because he just has way more juice. He's a pass-catching running back, which will be a lot better for fantasy. And let's not act like he's in a bad situation or even worse situation than Quinshon Judkins. I actually made the argument for Ramondre Stevenson as a cheap dynasty buy just a couple months ago, just to see if he survived the NFL draft. I didn't actually think that they would draft a guy in the second round, so that really does suck for Ramondre, and I am sorry if you bought him off of my advice, but everything that I said in favor of Ramondre Stevenson in that video is true for TreVeyon Henderson. Last year, Ramondre averaged 16 touches per game, which is 290 over a 17-game season, but he wasn't very efficient at just 3.9 yards per carry, 5.1 yards per reception. He did find the end zone 8 times, and he still managed to finish as a top 24 running back on a points per game basis from weeks 1 through 16, and that was in essentially the worst offense in the entire NFL in 2024. But now you replace Ramondre with a way more talented, way more efficient TreVeyon Henderson. You upgrade the offense with a year 2 Drake May. You got Stephon Diggs and Kyle Williams at wide receiver, an upgraded offensive line highlighted by Will Campbell at 4th overall, plus another day 2 guard, and the massive coaching upgrades that just scream run first offense in Mike Bravel and Josh McDaniels. You put all of that together and you have yourself a potential top 15, maybe even top 12 fantasy running back as a rookie in 2025, let alone what TreVeyon can grow more into in year 2, year 3, year 4, and down the road. So I love TreVeyon Henderson as the rookie RB3 in this class, but I also love Quinshon Judkins as my RB4 in another very ideal landing spot for him as essentially the Browns' new Nick Chubb. And I know he lost kind of a little bit of luster in some people's eyes after the Browns also drafted Dylan Sampson in the 4th round, but this team just needed running backs. Coming into the draft, all they had on this team was Jerome Ford and Pierre Strong. Drafting Dylan Sampson is a depth move, not a competition move, especially when they drafted Judkins as the RB3 off the board at the top of the second round. You don't make that investment if you're not going to use that player a lot, and believe me, Kevin Stefanski is going to use Judkins a lot. He's the hometown kid, he's a power running back who can also catch the ball when needed, and if this Browns offense is any better than what it's been for the past couple of years, Judkins could either be a big reason for that improved offense or at the very least be a major beneficiary of that improved offense. He is my RB4 in this class as a top 7 pick in Superflex leagues. Now moving on to tier 4, another small tier of just 2 guys, and it's just the other 2 day 2 running backs in Kaleb Johnson and RJ Harvey. Now, Kaleb Johnson is definitely the easier discussion of the two because we expected day 2 draft capital, and while I thought that he would be more of a second rounder, I also wasn't really shocked to see him go in the 3rd. But man, the Pittsburgh Steelers landing spot is just perfect for him as their Najee Harris replacement. Kind of similar to Quinshon Judkins, he is a perfect replica who is a power running back who can catch the ball when needed, and also like Quinshon Judkins, if the Steelers offense improves, it's either going to be because of Kaleb Johnson or Kaleb Johnson is going to benefit greatly from it. I personally have Kaleb Johnson as my RB5 ahead of RJ Harvey in this tier, but I don't fault anyone for having RJ Harvey ahead of Kaleb Johnson, especially because of that second round draft capital, which was insane to see from arguably the best landing spot in the entire NFL for a rookie running back in the Denver Broncos. My marker system actually grades RJ Harvey as the RB3 in this class behind only Ashton Jeanty and Omarion Hampton, and it's really hard for me to argue against that with the draft capital. The only real arguments that I could see against RJ Harvey are first and foremost age, since he's already 24 years old and he will probably not get a very meaningful second contract in the NFL. Now that may or may not matter to you in Dynasty, since we really shouldn't be looking at these running backs past just a couple of years anyway, but it's also not something that I think we can completely ignore when, for example, Kaleb Johnson is literally 3 years younger than RJ Harvey and could be a Steeler for 3 years in the NFL before he gets to RJ Harvey's age today. That is crazy to think about. The other knock that I could see is just fading the meteoric rise for RJ Harvey because of not only the draft capital, but also because of the landing spot. Prior to the NFL draft, RJ Harvey was maybe a consensus top 8 pick, maybe not even in people's top 10s in the running back position. Actually, on Keep Trade Cut, he was anywhere from the Dynasty RB 50 to into the 60s post-combine up until Friday night, and now he's skyrocketed instantaneously into the top 40 and will probably get even higher over the next few days once people kind of digest the NFL draft. In my pre-draft rookie mocks, I was taking him at the end of the second round at the earliest in Superflex leagues, but more likely kind of an early 3rd round rookie pick. And then this weekend, in our post-draft mock, he went at the 1.08 pick because of the draft capital and because of the landing spot. I really get worried when I see meteoric rises like that from rookies because we tend to overreact super hard, especially at the running back position, to landing spot and even to unexpected draft capital. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that Clyde Edwards-Helaire got vaulted up to being a top 3 rookie pick in 2020 drafts, ahead of Jonathan Taylor in that year because he went round 1 to Kansas City. Then we did it again in 2021 when Trey Sermon went round 3 to San Francisco before they traded for Christian McCaffrey. He was also a late first in rookie drafts that year. Now, granted, both of those running backs were graded as the RB5s in their respective classes in my marker system, and RJ Harvey is the RB3 in this year's class, so he's grading out a little bit better than both of those guys, but I don't really think the comparisons are all that way off. I really like RJ Harvey. He was on my short list for guys to watch for in case he got good draft capital or went somewhere good, and both of those things actually happened, but I fear that ranking him as my RB6, drafting him in this mid to late first in Superflex leagues is introducing a lot of risk and removing a lot of your ROI on his ceiling, meaning that he pretty much has to hit for you to justify that pick in just a year or two. I don't think he's going to be a straight up bust like Trey Sermon was, but if he's Clyde Edwards-Helaire 2.0, you're not going to be happy with that at all. And CEH was not a bust, at least not in his first couple of years. He was just good enough to keep you interested before completely bottoming out. And I fear that RJ Harvey might be kind of the same way, but I also could be wrong. So that's why I rank him here. I'm going to trust into my marker system, trust into the draft capital, trust into the Sean Payton offense, and rank RJ Harvey right here at RB6. And then once again, tier 5 is another two players in very similar situations with very similar draft capital in Cam Skattebo and Bashal Tutin, both taken back-to-back immediately on day 3. Skattebo gets the perceived better landing spot for 2025 as he can operate as that first and second down back for the Giants this year, with Tyrone Tracy probably working as the third down pass catcher. But I don't want to dismiss Skattebo's ceiling either, because he is also a very capable pass catcher. He showed that at Arizona State, maybe even better than Tyrone Tracy to a degree, to where if the Giants want a true 3-down running back, they can do that with Cam Skattebo, and he also has better draft capital than 5th rounder Tyrone Tracy last year. This is a landing spot where his true ceiling of being a James Conner type of running back can come to fruition. I don't necessarily know if that happens in 2025. I mean, it might. If he is just that good, they just can't take him off the field. But either way, I want to invest into Cam Skattebo in the mid-second round if I can. Now, similarly, Bashal Tutin has an opportunity to be, at worst, a really strong handcuff to Travis Etienne, because I do believe he is just better than Tank Bigsby, but at best, Tutin could be this year's Bucky Irving, a guy who supplants the boring veteran in a Liam Cohen offense, sets the world on fire with his explosiveness in a very good offense. That is well within Tutin's range of outcomes here as a rookie and even in 2025. In fact, his ceiling is probably higher than Cam Skattebo's because of the probability of playing in a better offense with more sustained drives, which leads to more volume, it leads to more touchdown opportunity. I mean, it is all there for Bashal Tutin if he can take it. So I also want him in the mid-second round of rookie drafts if I can get him. Now, tier 6 is just one player in Jaden Blue. Now, I did want to make tier 6 just this massive handcuff tier, but Jaden Blue has way more upside than everybody else behind him because he legitimately can be a starter this year. His only competition is Javonte Williams, and even though he was a 5th round pick this year, he's extremely fast, he's an excellent pass catcher, and he's big enough to get 200 plus carries between the tackles too. I mean, he essentially feels like their new Tony Pollard if Tony Pollard was a tiny bit smaller and ran a 4.3 40. Maybe he's not ultimately better than Javonte Williams and is more of a handcuff just like everybody else behind him, but he at least has the opportunity immediately to start for the Dallas Cowboys, and that itself is worth a tier above everybody else. But then as for everybody else, tier 7 is all of the handcuffs. Just pick your favorite guys here and pick whoever you think has the best chance to see playing time, either from an injury ahead of them or maybe is possibly good enough to not need that injury. Of this group, my model really identifies DJ Giddens as a guy that you should be targeting everywhere, and I am on board with that as well. I also really love Jarquez Hunter, but that Rams landing spot just deflated pretty much all of my positive feelings for him, unless maybe Kyron Williams walks in free agency next year, but Jarquez Hunter at least has the skill set and the metrics. We'll see if the situation can kind of open itself up over the next couple of years. Dylan Sampson is a great handcuff. Woody Marks, also a great handcuff. Taj Brooks could maybe be the complementary 1B with Chase Brown, or at the very least is another strong handcuff option. Devin Neal's in a very similar boat in New Orleans. You got Trevor Etienne, you got Ollie Gordon, Brashard Smith, Damian Martinez. I mean, take your pick and just see what happens in this range of running backs. So that wraps up my final rookie running back rankings and tiers for the 2025 class after the NFL draft. And if you guys want to check out my final post-draft rookie wide receiver rankings, then you can check out that video right up here.